Okay, hey, Scott Robertson here on EnterTalk Media on Caffeine at NAMM 2019. Really excited about who we got coming up next. We got a gentleman here that's going by an alias. We're going to talk about it. This is Paul right here, but everybody calls him Fix. Paul Wolff, how you doing, Fix?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome.
Awesome. It's great to have you on the show. And we also have Jack and Joe Napoli from Analog Alien joining us via satellite from the Super Bowl. They're early. They're there early. They're there. They're excited. They've got their seats already. They're excited for next week. Jack and Joe, I don't see you guys, but I'm sure I can hear you, like the voice of God. How are you guys doing today?
Can you hear us? We're doing great, man. How's everything going at NAMM?
We can kind of hear you. You out there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Better?
Better? We need to get closer?
Okay.
Okay, there they are.
There they are.
There you are.
Oh,
There we
hey.
go.
Hey. So how you guys doing today?
Doing
So
really
you guys
well,
decided,
man.
you decided we're going to choose New Jersey over Anaheim because the weather is that much better. You know, it's it's by the way,
They're building
Long Island, New York.
just humble brag. It's 80 degrees and sunny in Anaheim today. I'm just throwing that out there to you.
Yeah, sorry.
Very nice.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
so let's talk about what we came here to talk about. We're talking about pedals and a really cool one that you guys have brought with this to show with us today. So tell us, so Fix and Jack and Joe, tell us all about the Analog Alien EPI.
Well, Joe and Jack have been friends of mine since like the 80s when I owned API. I think they were one of my first customers. So we've always stayed in touch and stuff, and we talk back and forth. And we had a conversation about a year ago about an interface. I needed an interface, and these guys were thinking about doing something. And so we got together and we just laid this out and decided all the features, and we started developing it. And it turned into something really cool. It took us longer to probably name it than it did to design it. But these guys came up with a name, and it's an awesome pedal. It doesn't.
Well,
It's
walk
not
us
a
through
sound
it.
effect.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, just walk us through what you got going on here.
Well, you've got a thing now with all the DAWs and stuff, and even in the console days with tape machines and stuff, is you had the pedals, and the guitar player would develop this really cool sound with a pedal, and then you try to go in the studio, and you could never, you could never recreate it faithfully.
Sure.
So that's where the idea started, was to have an interface where you could interface pedals to a DAW. And then we started thinking, well, what about the commercial stuff, about taking out of a DVD player and shifting it up to +4, or taking something that was +4 and dropping it down to the right level, or reamping.
Nice.
Or interfacing pedals. And you know how pedals always are hooked in series. We thought, well, it'd be cool if you could put them in parallel. So we started looking at all these features, so we came up with this thing, and it basically, on the back of the unit, you've got a guitar in and a guitar through. You've got an XLR in, which is +4 balanced, and you got an RCA in, which is -10.
Nice.
And they all can sum at the same time. So you can play a track on an iPhone and your DAW and plug a guitar in here and just rehearse or track or whatever you want. Then they all come out +4, guitar level, and -10 as well, all at the same time.
That's very useful.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And it's, as a direct box, plug your guitar in here, come out here. You want mic out, you hit the pad. You got a ground hum, you lift the ground switch.
Nice.
Okay, so that part of it, that's really cool, because now you can record, go to your DAW, guitar in, go to the DAW, play the DAW back, and this comes out exactly the same level as what you put in, so you can reamp with it.
Neat. Yeah.
So then on top of that, we decided to put 2 inserts.
Okay.
So you can put pedals on it, and you can select between A and B or both. Now you can put distortion over here and nothing on this side, and you have half direct, half distortion. Or you can put 2 delays and have the delays going in opposite directions, and do real flanging and actually go through the canceled center point, or a phaser and distortion together, but not in series, but in parallel.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So Jack and Joe, how did you guys come up with this, with Fix here? How'd you think of this thing?
It was, like Paul said, we basically, we had the idea for it. He had a need for, he saw a certain need out in LA. We saw a certain need in our studio, Cloud9, to be able to take effects pedals a little bit more above and beyond what they were designed to do. And it was just a collective thing, We started throwing. It started off as a smaller box. we're actually going to call it the bumper because it bumps the voltages, you know, up and down. But it was a smaller box. And then as we got it in the studio, we said, oh, it'd be cool if we could put an AB box with this. And Joe, you know, because Joe does most of the engineering at the studio, he said, you know, it'd be really great if we had insertion point so that we can insert the pedal, and we could also take pre-recorded tracks and run them through effects pedals and then run them back in EWA or, you know, your
Tape
analog
deck or wherever.
tape deck or wherever. So it kind of grew. It was just the three of us bouncing this all around, and it just kind of grew. And then Paul's like, all right, let's do this, let's do that. And before you know it, we had it. You know, we had it. And we went through a couple of different revisions, you know, till we got what we all wanted. And that was it. It was really it came together. I would say for what it is, pretty quickly.
There was some pizza and some
Wine involved.
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe there was pizza and wine involved, if I remember right.
pizza and
You
wine.
can't design a pedal. You can't design anything with that.
Very nice. That's usually that's how it goes. So so Jack and Joe, tell me about the Analog Alien brand and kind of what you guys are all about, and you know how you're different from a lot of pedal manufacturers they're out there. What's special about you guys?
Well, I got it. Well, I mean, really, when we first started to design pedals, basically, I was engineering and really got tired of having pedals that did just one thing, and then at the same time, just all like personality suckers. Like no matter what you plugged into them, everything just wound up sounding the same. So I complained about it enough that Jack just got tired of hearing me and said, you know what, I'm going to make my own pedal. And I said, well, good luck. And a couple months later, he came up with what we now call the Fuzz Bubble 45. And it was just a plain silver box. No one knew what it was. And after about 10 sessions of having every single guitar player who plugged into it, who all of a sudden wanted that pedal. And I was like, well, good luck. You know what it is to build one pedal? He actually etched his own board and drilled out every single hole for every single component. I said, this is crazy. And then enough people asked for it, and he said, I think we should go into business. I said, well, I think you're crazy. He said, no, really, I think we should do it. So we did, and it was the Fuzz Bubble 45. And basically, the pedal plays, everything we do, we make play like a vintage. It breathes with the player. Depending on the guitar, the strings, the pick, you hear everything. These aren't pedals that are made to, like, you know, cover up sound and just make everybody sound generic. It really allows the individual style of the player and the sonic quality of what a player is trying to create to come through. And we hold that through on every single pedal that we make, and we will continue to do so. And that's basically,
Very cool.
I think, really what sets us apart from everybody else.
Nice. And you got your secret weapon. You got Paul here. You got Fix. So
Yeah.
this is Paul Wolff, but everybody calls him Fix. Why does everybody call you Fix?
You know, when I was always playing around with electronics and stuff, and I used to hang. I lived in Traverse City, Michigan, a fairly small town, and I used to hang out at this TV repair shop.
Okay.
And it was like that was it, you know. So a guy walks in one day with a Strat, and it was dead. And he comes in, he kind of, my guitar's broken. And so he took it into this TV place. The guy had no idea what it was, and I just grabbed it, flipped it over, unscrewed the back, or unscrewed the pick guard, pulled the thing out. The jack was there, pulled the jack out, soldered the wire back on, put it back in, tightened it, handed it to him, and he looked at me and he goes, "We'll call you Fix." And it stuck with me. I mean, I worked at a nightclub in Washington, D.C. I was known as Fix. We did like, you know, Foreigner, the first time they ever played in the U.S., they played at our club, Dire Straits, the Ramones, and I was doing sound for all these guys, and I was known as Fix. And it just carried with me throughout. And, you know, I had API, I bought API and had those guys for 15 years and started Tone Lux and had those guys for 15 years. And then I just decided at this point to name my new company Fix. So what the heck, you know?
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
I wish I had a cool nickname
knew
like
that.
Fix. You know,
We never
like,
knew that
My
story.
wife would call me Break.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, you know, the weird thing is I went and got
Break
a
and
license
Fix.
plate. But
We
yeah,
could do
there
a
you
show
go.
together. I could break crap and you could fix it.
And I could make money and we just split it.
I like it.
Just so
I like it.
I
Now we
went
got
to
a plan.
I
Now we
applied
got a
for I applied for a license, a license plate in
Yeah.
California, and I typed in Fix one night, and it said this is available.
No way.
And I thought I'm either the dumbest guy in the world because I'm going to get arrested because everybody thinks I'm a drug dealer, or nobody thought of it, you know. So I have on my car it says FIX on the back. So I thought, you know, it's like cool. So.
I'm amazed that you could get that. You know,
I know in California, 15 million people, and you know you get Then I thought putting in something like dumb, stupid, all those were taken.
I bet you could get break too. Break and fix.
Right. Yeah.
You break, I fix.
That's right. You could just drive behind me and honk all the time.
Nice. So, obviously you have a great partnership with with Jack and Joe from from Analog Alien. What do you guys have coming up in the hopper? What's in the fix?
We've
hopper?
got a few things that we're keeping kind of close to the belt right now because these guys have got some great ideas and stuff. But there's so many pedal manufacturers around, and everybody tends to jump on stuff that we've all agreed not to let anything out of the bag.
Yeah.
But we've got a sister product to this.
Cool.
That's gonna make everybody real happy, especially people that do live performances solo. So yeah, so that's so we do have a secret stuff. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you and everyone that's watching. So
and we don't have the mailing address for everybody, so you can't be dispatched to their house for the assassinations, the aforementioned assassinations that would have.
But my wife could do that because she works for the Department of Defense. So.
Oh, look at that! Now the conversation just takes a whole nother turn.
Dark.
Well, cool. Look, well, talk to me about how you guys are getting the word out about Analog Alien. Maybe Joe and Jack.
Yeah, those guys have got a pretty good marketing thing.
Yeah, tell me about how you guys are marketing.
A lot of it is Facebook and Instagram. Those are the two big ones. We'll be back at NAMM. We were doing the NAMM show this year. We just couldn't do it. Didn't have enough time to do it. But we'll be back in 2020, and that's always a big part of it too.
Cool.
But Facebook and Instagram are the two biggest mediums to get your word out there, and to just keep revamping it and expanding on it.
Let me just clarify. So you're saying Facebook and Instagram, are we talking paid ads? Are we talking content?
Yes.
A mix of those things?
Both.
Really both?
Yeah, but paid ads too. Yeah, the paid ads are great.
And some nice endorsees.
This spot has been brought to you by Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg sponsoring all of
world.
these segments.
Yeah, no, we've been very fortunate in that. We met Stevie Wonder a few years ago at NAMM, and he got into our stuff. And then through just being out there, we met Joe Walsh, and he bought a few of our rumble seats, went on the road with the Eagles a while back, before Glenn Fry had passed away. And then he decided he wanted to work with us, and he called us, which we thought was a joke. Like, we were like, this better not be a joke, but it was really, it was really Joe. Yeah, and he said, let's do something together. And then he, in turn, introduced us to, small bands like The Who and, like these groups that kind of had to... No, but I mean, Paul and Joe and Pete Townsend are good friends. They've been friends since I think the first time The Who toured the U.S. was '67. And when they went through Ohio, where Joe was living at the time, I think his band, the James Gang, before they were signed, opened up for The Who. I think that's how the story went. But anyway, they became friends. And Pete Townsend invited Joe to Chicago because The Who are big advocates for the Teenage Cancer Trust Society. And they asked Joe to Nettie Vedder and Joan Jett, who we know very well. We do a lot of work with Joan in our studio. And Joe brought the pedals down, and everyone in The Who saw them. And the next thing you know,
Palladino especially, he looked and saw and said,
"Yeah,
Joe, what are these things?"
Very cool.
And
next,
a lot of small players, a lot of like club bands and stuff like that. Nobody that anybody knows.
Well, it's authentic. Yeah, exactly. It's authentic too.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
And then a couple of years ago at the AS show in New York, Paul approached us. We always bump into Paul at these shows. Like he said, we've known him for years and years.
Nice.
And he said, "Hey, what's how's the business going?" And we started to talk. And he's like, let's do something together. I've got ideas, you've got ideas. Let's see what we can come up with. And you've got the first pedal that we came up with. It's right there, the EPI. So
nice. What's the brand mean? So it's Analog Alien. Just how'd you come up with that? And is there any kind of story behind that? How'd you come up with the brand?
We wanted analog to be in the name, and we just kept putting words before it and after it, and then Analog Alien, I don't know how, it just kind of stuck.
We are really big, since kids, we're really big,
we're big
comic book fans and sci-fi fans, and Alien just seemed to just work its way in, and we said it, and that was it. We were done with it, and it was the same thing when we came up with the pedal for Joe Walsh, which is the compressor and overdrive circuit. There was two things in one, and they were both classic sounds, and that's how we wound up calling it the Joe Walsh Double Classic. So that was another. Sometimes the names just come to you like titles of songs or riffs or whatever. It just kind of pops in.
After a wine and pizza session, the names just go are
Well,
flowing.
it was analog cannoli, and then it was analog tomato sauce, and it was analog
That was
spaghetti,
taken, the
and it was
analog cannoli
analog
was
wine.
taken.
They make great
Right.
wine. They make their own wine in the basement, and that was called analog. They were going to name it after the wine. Then they named the wine after the pedal. You know, it never ends.
They make their own wine. Is it Analog Alien wine, or is there another,
I'm
brand?
not sure, but it's good. I know that.
It's
we
good.
we
When I
drank
run
some
out-
of it.
when
It's
I-
excellent.
When I run
You
out,
drank some of
when
it.
I run
Very,
out
very
the
cool.
labels,
So where do
when
we
I run
find
out
out
the
more
labels-
about all this stuff? Where does the viewing audience of the world find out more about this stuff?
QR codes.
Okay, there you go.
It's the chicken of the future.
I love that. And they can find out more about this product on the website.
Yeah.
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 So what's the website?
It'd be analogalien.com.
Analog, and it sounds like you got a robust Instagram presence and Facebook presence as well. Everybody can check
Yeah.
them out there. Well, I think that's about all we got, folks. So, thanks very much for being with us, Fix. Thanks to Joe and Jack for taking time out of their
Thanks,
day
guys.
being
Thanks,
with us.
Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being with us, and thanks to Paul Wolff, Fix, the man whose car you can readily identify leaving the NAMM show today. Because
Yes,
now we know his
exactly.
license plate number. So signing off for EnterTalk, this is Scott Robertson with hosting
Bye,
the
guys.
Best Brand Win. Enjoy the rest of your day, and peace out.